Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is pre-market prep for Wednesday, March 26th. Let's look at Luminar. And so for me, I had sold some covered calls that had a strike of $8 for this week. I actually bought them back before close yesterday because I was wondering and so I sold them, made I think like $36. I bought them back, so I spent $8 in total. And the reason why is because I think that we could be seeing a move to the upside. We got this big bearish engulfing candle, but with that big bearish engulfing candle, what do we see with volume? Volume goes down. And then following that big bearish engulfing candle, what do we see? A hammer candle or a dragonfly doji with a big wick to the downside could be suggesting a reversal. And we also see diminished volume with that. And so, it's just like there aren't a lot of sellers anymore. The sellers have all left the scene. Did test a low of 606, so nearly getting to $6 a share, which I have kind of talked about, that this could be pulling back. And so I adjusted my doodle to be this one, which I posted on X, was having a really nice conversation with somebody about this and how really it's just like this is just going to be, a lot of volatility because we closed above max pain, but market makers are going to want to suppress it below max pain, which let's take a look over, at, let's see, the Greeks here. And so for laser Luminar, that is max pain for this week is 650, and so we're right around max pain now. But what I think is probably going to happen, because we closed above max pain last week, which I believe was 6 or 650, and we closed above 8. I think that there's probably going to be some more pressure for this to go higher. But then I think that that's probably going to be getting, market makers wanting late bulls to get on board. And then it ultimately starts to close closer to max pain, if not lower than max pain. And so I could potentially see this getting up to around $10 a share. And then at that point, I would then sell covered calls again. So just kind of swinging back and forth. Although with this being down in the pre-market by about 3 cents or 0.5%, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I made $8 less by buying back those covered calls. But that's fine. I just kind of like the look of this inverse head and shoulders pattern. I like it. I'm attached to my drawing, and also that corresponds with this 100% Fibonacci extension. So going from the low over here to the high here, then down to this new all-time low at, $4.47.5. And so that puts this Fibonacci extension nearly at this high, which was 1040, I believe. This is at 994.5. And then also, late bulls see, hey, it's approaching 10. I'm going to go long because then it's going to skyrocket and fill this gap up here. But that what in fact happens is before the end of the week, it starts to pull back, getting back towards that max pain and, shaking out or faking out those late bulls, pulls back to around 6 before over the course of, months, I believe, this would be 1 month, effectively a month and a half. So by mid-May, then it starts to move higher, get back to that neckline. Then maybe we see a bull flag formation, and then we see a gap fill here towards the end of May. I think it'll probably take longer than that, to be honest. These kind of moves always take longer, shake out the weak hands and, get the late bulls on board. So if we do see a volatile move either back up to around 8 or maybe approaching 10, I think that is not going to hold, and I think that we will see this inverse head and shoulders pattern play out. I just like the look of it. And one thing that does stand out to me about this inverse head and shoulders pattern is, we've seen, an increase in volume here. and then an increase in more volume over here. So when we start to get over to here, if we are to form an inverse head and shoulders pattern, what we will want to see is the volume over here be even higher than this, a progression of increasing volume, suggesting that buyers are back in going long and that we could be seeing a breakout to fill this gap around 1470. So I'm not seeing that or expecting that just yet. And so that is why I am having fun playing around with my shares, swinging covered calls. I have a small position though, only 200 shares, so no big deal. And last week I had sold 2 covered calls, so just my 200 shares with a strike of 8. Of course, on Friday last week, so on the 21st, we did close at above $8 a share, so closed at $8.35. I rolled my covered calls into this week, so that was fun. I don't typically do that, and so that's just a nice way of exercising my skills that I've been gaining with options. So pretty fun there. And one thing I might want to do is just switch over to the weekly to see, we got this big green candle here last week. And we're so far seeing a reversal, but this is just based on 2 days. So what I could see is, it getting back up to here. I got this alert here at 969. Maybe we get up to there, but then still pull back, close the week lower. But if we do go up to 10, that max pain could get bumped up to 7. And then we pull back, and we do have what looks like the 21-week moving average at 724. So maybe that's something to keep in mind there. But just going to switch back over to the daily. And I like this kind of like the psychology around this still going up higher by the end of this week, but then being a fake out. Maybe, that doesn't take place until next week. And so maybe I could have made $8 more, but I will still be just swinging covered calls on the bullish side, selling those into weakness or into resistance rather than, just selling them at the lows here. But we'll see. I'm just having fun with those. But with that being said, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and daily pre-market preps.